So good evening. This is Gloria Taylor Brown bringing you a Gathering of Priestesses. This is our 39th edition. And with us this evening we have, of course, my co-host, Catherine Ravenwood from Albuquerque, New Mexico. And joining us from Orange County is Ava Park, the queen of her realm at the Goddess Temple in Orange County. Ava has created something that many of us have talked about for years and years. In fact, I can remember having conversations about creating a goddess temple back in the early 80s. And people were, said, well, I'd love to have a goddess temple, and then there was the buts. So I am so impressed by what she has created and what she has done that I actually had her scheduled one time before and I forgot. And I brought her back on and I wanted to have her on. And this is, we're having, is it Bridget's Day, right? Or was yesterday?
Very close, yes. We're still in the feeling of Bridget, yeah.
Right. So I think your phone may still be on. I'm not sure. Would you check it?
Certainly.
Okay. So I want to thank everybody who's with us this evening, whether or not you are on with us now or if you listen to us later on the YouTube. We do appreciate hearing from you and hearing what you have to say. We also have a chat section which is available for those who are on the live show so that you can ask questions while we're here and you can make comments and say hello to friends. So I want to thank you for being here and I want to welcome Miss Ava Park. Hello,
Thank you so much, Gloria. Thank you, and thank you, Catherine, for having me. It's an honor to be on with you, and I look forward to the next few minutes with you.
Yeah, well, I look forward to it as well. And the only question we prepare ahead of time is, what brought you on to the priestess path?
Like I'm sure it is for pretty much everyone, that is not able to be answered with one simple thing. I think the best way to answer is to share that from the time I was a little girl, I always had this great interest in why the world seemed to be so broken, particularly my own family, and how we could fix it. And I spent many years looking into different things. I had zillions of causes for a long time, starting from the time I was a teenager. And I kept peeling away the layers. And my last, I was very much involved in Tibetan freedom and many other causes, suicide prevention. But my last great cause was animal rights, and I started an animal rights group, which became very well known, and we had a lot of very assertive demonstrations. I was arrested many times in the 80s, and after about 13 years of that, I completely burned out, and I realized that I was sort of putting out little fires here and there. I'd get one success, with some animal rights issue, we'd solve it, but then another one would pop up, or it just seemed endless. And I kept thinking, what is the core of the problem? All these issues, war, violence, oppression of women, domestic abuse, poverty, all of it, what is the core issue? And through a series of wonderful synchronicities, it led me to Goddess. And I came to realize that the core issue is the patriarchal mindset, the mindset of dominance, the mindset of oppression, of violence, of stealing energy from others, of thinking only of yourself and not the shared good. And I learned from Maria Gimbutas that there were other cultures, matriarchal cultures, that were more peaceful and were led by women and had at their center the idea of a great mother, a female divine. And that very much appealed to me. I could see how that would really work. And so I began learning about that. And I went to Egypt and had an experience with the goddess Sekhmet, which furthered me, and it prompted me to think about what kind of spirituality I was needing, and it came to me that I really needed a goddess temple. And so I started looking around for one, and I couldn't find one. And I thought, well, you know, if I need one, there must be a lot of other women who need it too, because I'm very much an average woman. And so if there isn't one, then I think I'll make one. And maybe some other women will show up and join me. And that's what happened. And it's been an amazing experience. We do this together. So I really rush to say that this temple I might be the center holder of this temple, but it is really run by quite a number of women contributing their time and energy and talents and effort. So it's really a joint thing.
Yeah, I was privileged to be able to come up there and meet with you and be at the temple. And it is a remarkable experience. It's a beautiful facility that you've created there. And when did you first start the temple?
We founded the temple technically in 2004, so we're going into our 11th year. However, the genesis of the temple was really the year before in my living room, and I had a circle, a Sunday circle, goddess circle, for women every Sunday for a year before that.
Okay, so it's got a strange email. It was March. I know that's not true. No, that's not what it is. She's misreading it. Okay. Along the way, I know that you've had a number of people who've helped you and a number of people who've been, you mentioned Marie Jimbudas, and have been teachers for you. Who do you feel that you follow in the footsteps of?
Well, I have several wonderful women I consider amazing teachers. I'll just mention the few who I feel have been my greatest influences and support. I have learned so much from Vajrama. She is a dance teacher, but it's a sacred form of dance that is unlike anything else. It's called the Tantric, a dance of feminine power, and you can find her online. She has been a colleague and a friend and a teacher for so long, and I just honor her. I've learned a lot from Z Budapest, of course. Mm-hmm. I read all her books years ago when I first started. Of course, the writings of all of the major women's teachers, you know, the great Cosmic Mother, Monica Sue, that was one of my first major influences, and of course Mary Daly. I just found her to be amazing. And so many others you can name. Ruth Barrett has been with Temple of Diana now, formerly with Circle of Aradia. She was a strong influence of mine, taught me lots. And also a very important woman who remains my friend to this day, and I'm privileged to work with her, is Reverend Karen Tate. You've perhaps had her on, I don't know, but she's an author, and I attended her rituals 10, 12 years ago, and they were an amazing influence on me. So I really honor all of those women, and probably so many more I can't think of at the moment.
Yeah, well, that's great. Vajrama has been on, and she was on with the Stepping Into Ourselves book that we promoted, which is what started this whole thing. And we've also had Ruth Barrett on twice, and Karen Tate will be on in March. So we're working down our list, but I'm always willing to hear of new and wondrous teachers. Raven and I are both students of Nikki Scully, who I know has also been at your place.
Yes.
And Normandy Ellis.
She's taught here at the temple, and she's amazing as well.
Yeah, and we've kind of come through the same places that you have, and find it interesting. Is there any chance, I asked you this earlier and I wasn't sure whether or not you were going to be, is there any chance you can give us a little bit of a tour of the temple? Or will the computer move around?
I don't know. Let's give it a shot. We have someone setting up for a ritual in the sanctuary. Can you still hear me?
Yes, I can still hear you.
Can you still hear me?
Yes.
All right. So I'm going to begin to just show this. We're leaving my office now.
Okay.
Here's my two dogs.
Oh, yes, the doggies that always accompany you.
Wherever I go. Yeah. So in about half an hour, we're going to have an event here. And so what we're seeing now is reception. And in a few minutes, there's going to be tons of people coming in.
Okay.
This is our Bridget altar.
Need to hold the computer steady for a minute so it gets focus.
Okay. Let me see if I can.
This may
now,
not.
Can you see?
Yes, now it's focused. Yeah.
So that is Bridget's well. And this is reception. This is the co-founder of the temple, my very dear friend Marcy. Is she in your frame?
Raise it up just a little bit. There we go. And I know that Marcy is with us, but in the angel form now.
That's right. This is our Egyptian room. And this is a small meeting room dedicated to the goddess Isis. And we have many wonderful statues. Goddess Nut. Is she in your frame? I'm behind the camera, so I cannot see.
Lift it up so we can see Nut. Oh, she's quite wonderful. Raven, what do you think of that?
Yeah.
Okay, go back to Nut. Raven's particularly in love with Nut.
And then have her
pull the lid of your computer back towards you.
Back towards me? Okay.
Yeah, so it's back so I can see her face. We're not getting her face.
Her face is sort of downward, so
yeah,
it's kind of hard. Does that work?
Not quite. You need to move back a little bit.
Okay. She looks downward.
Yeah. Well, we're getting the. I think we're going to have to bag this because it's just not coming through as well as I would want it to. Because I really want people to get the feeling of, oh my goodness, that's beautiful. Embossed.
Let me just see if I can take you quickly into the sanctuary before they set up, because I would love for you to see Sekhmet. Here's the Kuan Yin room. Is that coming through?
Yeah, that's coming through fine.
And then this is our African room dedicated to the goddess Oshun.
Okay.
We have a wonderful collection of black Madonnas that we're very proud of, miniatures.
Oh, yeah. Very nice.
And then let's just have you see Sekhmet. They have not started setting up yet. We won't put you on camera yet. This is our mother altar, the south altar, fire altar.
Yeah, Raven, you would love the altars there.
I do love the altars.
And we cannot fully show you Sekhmet because she's covered for the moment. Is she coming through?
Not yet, really. Oh, I see. Yeah, yeah.
So we have many altars in here. We have the Queen altar. We have 4 directional altars: Maiden, Mother, Queen, and Wise Woman. Mm-hmm. And the correspondences are, air, fire, water, and earth, and spring, summer, autumn, and winter. We have a beautiful Lakshmi.
Okay, well, we're getting a feel for it. Basically, if this calls you, what you need to do is make an appointment and go up and attend a service. They are wonderful. And your services on Sunday are women only, is that correct?
Actually, the services on Sunday, the 4th Sunday is for all genders.
Okay.
And every other Sunday is for women only.
Ah, okay.
So we'll return to my office now.
Okay. Don't want the doggies to get lonely.
Oh, they're used to doing what they need to do.
Well, thank you for showing us the temple. I would love to come up sometime and do an interview with you with the cameras, and maybe we could get up some better pictures because I know that with the computer it's not so easy. So I appreciate your making the effort and appreciate you taking us around. It is really beautiful, and I think you've created something there. Like I said in my email, you've created something that most of us wish we had. And I worked with Chris Dennis of the Women of Wisdom Foundation for 10 years, 11 years. I finished as the president of the board of directors up there, and we created once a year a temple out of First Unity Church and now North Seattle Community College, but we weren't creating something that was there, every day. And I think that having done that, you've really created a synergy, an energy that pulls people into there and gives them an opportunity to express themselves. I noticed as we walked by that you had this whole panel of different classes and events that are going on.
Right.
And I get your emails, and sometimes it's like it's an overwhelming banquet of all the things that are going on. I just wish you were a little closer so that I could drive up there for everything. And so I really think that that's fabulous. And from that, I know that part of that has been the inspiration for your book, The Queen of Your Realm. Also, just working with women, you obviously saw that there was a need for women to reach in, to step into their queendom. So would you talk to us a little bit about that?
Yes, I'd be happy to. When I was trained in goddess spirituality, I was taught Maiden, Mother, Crone. And that seemed fine and normal to me. I could see that trinity. As I started expanding my studies, I came to, and I met many women who felt similarly, that turning into a crone at age 56 or even 58 did not seem correct in many ways to us. I am 60, and I do not really have crone energy. I look forward to when I do, but there's this my belief is that the ages from 45 to 65, given the fact that women live so much longer now than they did, thousands of years ago, perhaps, there's this period of time where women are not ready to become, to step into the idea of a crone, but the queen is more appropriate for them. Also, we have correspondences that go with them. The maiden for us is the young woman, and it doesn't matter what your age is. You have all of these archetypes within you. You have a maiden, a mother, a queen, and a wise woman. And so a 5-year-old has a queen, has a wise woman. An 80-year-old has a maiden. So they're archetypes that live. And we have correspondences that go with them. And the mother archetype is giving and loving, unconditional love, birthing, creativity, all of those wonderful things. But where are the boundaries? Where is the vision? We place those things with the queen. The mother takes care of the individual. The queen takes care of the group. And so we believe that when goddess got thrown out of religion, the queen got thrown out of woman and has been gone for a long time. And it's time to bring back the queen. In our modern culture, the queen is demonized. If you look at all of the fairy tales that women of our age were raised with, the queen was invariably a very negative figure. She was evil. She was, think about the queen in Snow White, the queen in Sleeping Beauty. They were evil people doing bad things. So we were taught that you didn't want to be the queen. You wanted to be the beautiful young princess.
Forever.
Forever, yeah. And the princess is wonderful. Nothing wrong with the princess archetype. It's just that sometimes, women have to grow up and step into their real power. And the queen is the ancient natural spiritual authority. She is the leader of humanity. The ancient Vedic texts talk about woman as being primary, the leader. And so women get caught up in being a mother figure, which is the giving one. But the one who receives is the queen. Think about how queens are cared for, how queens are respected. You can have my mother was a case in point. She was a wonderful woman and giving and loving. And that's what she did. She gave and gave and gave and gave with no boundaries. Well, love may be unconditional, but relationships are not. And when you have a woman who just gives and gives and gives until she's exhausted, and then she just kind of gets thrown away, and not respected, that's a woman who is too much in her mother archetype with no balancing queen to support her. It's the mother who gives within us, but it's the queen who receives. So we place a lot of correspondences, and women have to. The queen for us is in autumn, in the west, and it's the place of harvest. And what I see over and over again is women being in their mother, which is summer, and work, providing, taking care of people, but they never get their harvest. When do women ever get their harvest? I know so many women who work and work and work and provide and provide and provide until they're just exhausted. And so the queen is the one who gets to receive, and she receives the harvest of all her mother work.
I love what you're saying. It's interesting. My husband, whenever I was working with Women of Wisdom, revolted against the term crone. He absolutely hated it. Every time they used it, he says there are no crones here. He says crones are old ladies in their 80s and 90s, and he says you don't have any. And so, like, they had set up a group that was, there was different levels of donations, and one of them, the crone, was the oldest. I mean, the largest. And he says, no. He says you can't give to that. He says I won't allow you. And my husband doesn't normally say, I won't allow you. Right? But he was just really opposed to that term.
Well,
And,
a lot of people are. A lot of people. That word needs to be reclaimed. It comes from the same root as carrion. But we will call because we try to be a bridge for what we think of as mainstream women. We don't want to be simply this little, cult of goddess women. We want the Baptist women and the Presbyterian women and the we want all those women to come to our temple, because we say keep your current religion and just add the underpinning of goddess spirituality, which supports very nicely a woman in her spirituality. So we are very careful publicly not to use certain words that are triggers, and crone is certainly one of them. People react badly. We call it the wise woman, and I like that, or the elder. I like wise woman, elder. Sometimes I use wise woman, crone, but and there's other words we don't use. We don't say casting a spell, although we do that constantly. But we just don't use those kinds of words in our brochures, because we don't want to. We find that those words frighten the mainstream woman away. The word witch, many of the women who are members of this temple consider themselves to be witches. But we don't use that word in describing our members, because it turns off and frightens people who don't know anything about goddess spirituality. And we're trying to be a bridge to help women come to their power.
Yeah, well, Gathering of Priestesses, the theory behind this is it is women serving the divine. It is the idea that we serve the divine through our hands, through our eyes, through our mouths. And it doesn't matter what we call the divine. It is the idea that we are the priestesses that are making God manifest on earth, God, goddess, whatever there is. And without us, there is not that support. And so I want, as a large and of course coming out of Women of Wisdom, where we also wanted everybody to come. We basically welcome everyone of every faith. As far as the witches and the Wiccans are concerned, it's interesting. We had an experience up in Seattle where we found out we had some Wiccan fundamentalists who got up and walked out on Mary Morrissey because she told a joke that had a witch in it, and it was like, okay, girls, no, you can't play that game here. So,
well, I would like to reassure all of your listeners and viewers that we have a great sense of humor here at the temple. We say that mirth and reverence go together very well.
Yeah. So
sometimes in our case, it's mirth and irreverence.
They're very important. But Raven, I wanted to bring you in here because I know that some of the things she was saying about women are also very important for you, and I wanted you to have an opportunity to speak and talk about what it is that you believe and how you relate to this. So you're going to be our every woman. Okay, well, you're not coming in right. Something's going on weird.
I know, constantly. I think I'm just going to mute out.
Okay.
Terrible sound. And I thought it was coming from Ava, but maybe it's not.
Okay, sorry about that, sweetheart. Okay, well, I wanted Raven in here, but Raven is, she's an incredible speaker as well, and teacher, and so anyway, so Ava, now you've got your book, you've got your temple, you've got services 3 times a week. What's next?
Well, what is next is something that I'm very, very excited about. And I'm getting a little bit of feedback too. Am I coming through okay?
You're coming through okay.
Okay. So one of the things that I've been consistently working on is expanding the idea of goddess spirituality for the average woman. Because I believe when the average woman is empowered, and I honestly don't think that a woman can be empowered fully and completely unless she has an understanding of the divine as at least also female. If she can only think of God as a he and a him and the Father, then I believe it's very, very difficult for a woman to become empowered. So I think that goddess spirituality, you know, our whole purpose in life is to empower women as the world's ancient natural spiritual authority, because we believe that when women run the world, things will become a lot better. Women tend to do things, I'm not saying that every woman does, but women as a group tend to lead in ways that are more about the shared good instead of that dominator model. So we feel that women need to come forward as leaders and need to be empowered to do that and to understand themselves fully. And a goddess, a deity, divinity supports that. So one of the things that we're working on is not being just a church, which we are. We're a spiritual organization, woman-centered, not woman only, because we do have events that gentlemen are welcome to, but we are woman-centered. But what would, I racked my brain, what would help people come to the temple who might not otherwise be interested in goddess spirituality? There are a lot of people out there who already feel that their form of spirituality serves them, and they're not interested in learning about goddess. But if we had a museum where if you were interested not necessarily in goddess spirituality, but simply human history, then you would come to our museum. And we have, as you see, I don't know if it came through very well, but we have amazing displays of ancient artifacts, of ancient goddesses from the Paleolithic, from the Neolithic. And so we're putting these room by room into exhibits that are very museum-like. They're educational. And yes, we maintain our altars, of course, for spiritual worship and veneration. And we also, throughout the temple, have all of these exhibits that show the power of woman down through the ages. Right now, what we've got in reception is an entire storyboard and display on Hypatia, because a lot of people have no idea who Hypatia was. You know, they've heard of Aristotle, they've heard of Plato, they've heard of Socrates, but they've never heard of Hypatia because she was erased from history. So we consider that our museum is the way to restore what has been lost. There are a lot of museums that have goddesses in them. You know, you go to the Getty and you see that beautiful giant Aphrodite, you know. But there are no, to my knowledge, there are no actual goddess museums. There's museums with goddesses in them, but not a museum dedicated to the goddess throughout the ages in all cultures. And so we have instituted the museum, and it's going to be unfolding month by month throughout the rooms of the temple. And we feel that this will be a way for people who may not be interested, they are interested in the reality of human history. And, you know, the archaeological record shows that throughout the Paleolithic, much of the world worshipped and venerated a female divine. Well, people are not taught this. People are not taught this in school. I was never taught this. And so it's been left out of history. So if you're interested in human history, then you might come to a goddess temple, and a few people, once they feel the vibe here, they'll stick, you know? So we feel the museum is a great bridge to just the average person out there, and we're very excited about it.
Yeah, I was just trying to think, and I haven't even seen like a traveling exhibit of the goddess through the ages.
Well, if you hear of one, please let me know. To my knowledge, I'm not aware of any goddess museum. I think we
I mean, I was thinking in terms of, I know I've never heard of a goddess museum, but I was trying to think if I had seen like the goddess through the ages type of traveling exhibit or anything, and I don't know of any. I know of, you know, Sekhmet in the New York Museum, and and you know the one in
there's a beautiful double segment at Hearst Castle if you've ever been. Have you ever seen that?
I've been there.
Yeah. Well, I want to mention Constance Tippett has done, in our front room, we have a beautiful framed, large framed poster done by a woman named Constance Tippett who did amazing work in showing pictures of all the different Paleolithic, Neolithic goddesses in different parts of the world. And she's got this timeline of goddesses. So anyone who's actually interested in that, go online, type in Constance Tippett, Tippett, and the goddess timeline. It is well worth purchasing. It's a poster. It's just a few dollars, and anybody who's interested in the history of that really would do well to buy that. It's fantastic.
Yeah, I know Max Dashu has a presentation on the goddesses, and Kimberly Moore.
So wonderful. Yeah. Max
Kimberly Moore down in Florida has a 52-week course on the goddesses, which is also really good. And I'm about halfway through that one.
Well, I can't say enough about Max Dashu. She's taught here many times, and I would like to mention her also as one of my great teachers and influences, because she is holding something that, to my knowledge, no one else in the world is actually holding. She has researched, incredible research, and her suppressed history archives are one of the most amazing collection of work. If we can get the word out on Max and her amazing work, she's an incredible treasure on the planet today for women and for humanity.
Yes, I agree. And there's the suppressed histories. Some of the information there is even stuff I didn't know. And I've been studying goddess since I was 5 years old. So
the images she finds are just incredible. Sometimes they just make me want to weep. You know, I've never seen them anywhere else except from, you know, a Max Dashu slideshow. She's just incredible.
Okay. All right. Well, so going forward, we're looking forward to a museum. Are we looking forward to another book from you?
Yes, I have a couple of books in the works. I've been writing a series of articles every week, and they're on a variety of subjects of interest to women. And I believe that will be the second book that will be coming out. It might be called The Four Powers of Woman. So that's a tentative title. So we're working on that.
Sounds great. I look forward to that. Please let me know. I'll help promote you and bring you back on to talk about that almost exclusively. And you know, it's interesting as we develop the circle that is reaching out from a gathering of priestesses. We have people. I went on to YouTube the other day, and it shows all the places that we're listened to. And we're listened to in Australia and Indonesia and India and South Africa, and even someone in Kuwait listens to us.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, and then of course Europe, all over America and Canada, and it's interesting as I look at this. You know, it's like we span the globe. And I love that, and I love the fact that you're in a way not only spanning the globe with your books, but you're also giving them a center and an opportunity for them to have a home and to come and, you know, be part of the Goddess Temple, because I know you have been incredibly inclusive with your programs and supporting other women in developing their abilities to teach and their abilities to speak. And I also know that you do an enormous amount of work to have the different goddesses or different archetypes for each Sunday. And I don't think you've repeated yet, have you?
We may not have. There are so many millions of goddesses that we could probably go many years never repeating any, but that has been an important aspect of our Sunday services, is to bring these amazing stories of these deities and their history, their lore, their powers, their teachings. So that's been one of the really joyful parts of the work, is to explore all these fantastic goddesses throughout time.
Well, I want to encourage you that the information that you put out on the different goddesses could easily be another book.
Well, that's true. That's true. We also did something very interesting with the help of Vajra Ma, who, you know, as I say, is a close friend of mine and somebody I just admire so tremendously. We did for several years running something that we called the Jewel of the Lineage, and it was a brief presentation on some amazing woman of history, usually somebody nobody's ever heard of because, you know, they're written out of history. A foremother, it might be a feminist foremother, or it might be, you know, just some incredible woman of history. And we did that. We would present that once a month, and that was really popular. And I've been telling Vajra that that would make a fantastic book. She did all the research on these, studying their stories and making a teaching at the end of it. So I'm going to try to convince Vajra to put that together in a book, A Jewel of the Lineage by Vajra Ma. I'm looking forward to it.
So Raven had a question. Raven, can you unmute yourself, sweetheart?
So, Ava, you've talked about trying to make your temple accessible so that more mainline women would come in. When a woman comes and finds you who doesn't have any kind of background, what do you think has drawn her in to this temple? What made her show up and say, I can, you know, it's okay if I go in and talk about thrones and lion-headed goddesses and temples and priestesses, and what do you think brings them into this?
I couldn't hear all of your questions.
What do you think brings people into your temple? You know, maybe women who don't have any background in goddess, and they just show up, and
well,
that they
I think they're very. I think they're very curious as to what a goddess temple is. There's a lot of confusion. If you go online and you type in goddess temple, you will get our temple, but right next to it, you will also get goddesstemple.com, which is basically an escort service or a circle of hookers led by a woman named Dr. I don't know what she's a doctor of, but Dr. Corinna Clark. And she's very sly. I've talked with her on the phone. She knows exactly what she's doing. She calls her call service, her prostitution call service, the Goddess Temple, because she knows that Irvine Police Department can do nothing about it. I've spoken with Irvine PD, and I've said, you know, this woman is not running a church, and they said she's very smart, and she's not doing anything that we can actually complain about or catch her on. And so there's this tremendous confusion about goddess. We even have men regularly who walk in the front door. We're open to the public Friday and Saturdays.
Mm-hmm.
And we have men walk in and they look around and they say, well, I'm here for my massage. And, you know, yeah. And I have trained my priestesses to be very polite to them because you don't want to shame men. You know, in a way, in a strange way, they are actually looking for goddess. They just are not quite doing it in a way that, you know, what we would hope. So we never shame them. We always invite them in to reception. We say we are a woman-centered church, a spiritual organization. Here's a brochure to take home to your wife or your girlfriend. And usually they're so shocked and stunned, they kind of stumble out not knowing what to do and say, and they're embarrassed and they apologize. And, you know, but there's this tremendous confusion as to what goddess spirituality is. So when women come here, a lot of times they have they're coming out of curiosity. Somebody told them about us, or, you know, they happen to come across it online, and they have no idea what it is. But when they come in the door and when they feel the vibration and when we invite them into the sanctuary, many of them burst into tears because they have never been in a place where they are surrounded by this feeling of woman honoring. And it's, you know, they've been disrespected all their lives. They've been the second sex all their lives, the weaker sex. They've been not respected by, their families or their culture. And when they walk in the door and they see all of this that is devoted to the honoring of what is woman, they become very emotional. And I have a magnetic sign on my car. It has our temple logo on it, and at the bottom it says Woman's Empowerment. And I was at IKEA 3 or 4 weeks ago, and I was buying some lighting for the temple, and I came out, and here's this woman standing by my car, and she says, is this your car? And I thought she'd hit me in the parking lot or something. And I said, yes. And she says, well, I've been standing here for half an hour waiting for you to come back. And she said, I said, what's wrong? She says, I want to know what is woman's empowerment? And she was a very normal-looking woman. She was dressed well. She was, just looked like your average soccer mom. And I had never been asked that question before. I've never known that, someone who didn't know what that meant. And yet millions of women out there do not know what women's empowerment is. And so, kind of fumbling for a moment, because she took me off guard, I said, well, women's empowerment is when a woman is able to set her own goals and direct her own life in the way that she so chooses, that is fulfilling and satisfying to her. And then she said something really shocking to me. She looked at me, and without any facetiousness or sarcasm or humor, she looked straight at me and she said, how is that possible?
Oh.
She really did not even comprehend how a woman could direct and guide her own life to her own satisfying goals. That was just not, she did not see how that was possible. How could women possibly do that? And so walking away from that, of course, I gave her a brochure and told her to come immediately
Yes.
to the Goddess Temple. Run, do not walk to your place of power. And so I left her with a brochure. And I realized from that encounter that, you and I and Catherine, we're in goddess spirituality. It all seems normal to us. But there are still millions and millions and millions of women out there who have no idea what it feels like to be empowered, have no idea what it feels like to have the concept of a female divine who is all-powerful, who is primary, who is, beautiful, and that's what we are. That is just a reflection of us. And so I continue to work on reaching those women. Those are the women I really want to reach.
Well, I think in Irvine you got a whole bunch of them. So maybe you need more signs on your car.
More cars with more signs on them.
More cars with more signs. Yeah. Follow me for women's empowerment.
Right.
You need the goddess fleet.
The goddess fleet. Oh, that's good. Yeah. It's really incredible to me, of course, I've been involved in this for a very long time, and sometimes somebody will say something to me like that, and I'll just be dumbfounded. It's like, where have you been for the last 20 years? Do you live under a rock?
Yeah.
So
no, it's true. There are literally millions and millions of women who do not know what we know, and I just feel so compelled to share this with them because, I was one of those women. In my 20s and 30s, I was a businesswoman working hard to make money, and my only model of power was of men in the corporate world, and I tried to copy that. And, I was my little businesswoman self, running around in my little business suit and my little silk bow tie. If you remember that John Malloy Dress for Success, back in the, do you remember that back in the 80s and late 70s, early 80s? And, I had no model for what it meant to be a powerful woman. And I'm so grateful that other women showed me. I'd like to also mention a great, wonderful woman who I know you know, who has a goddess temple in Glastonbury, and that's Kathy Jones and her team of priestesses. She has the Glastonbury Goddess Conference, every year in the summer. I've spoken a couple of times at that, and it is genius. If you have the opportunity to go to England and attend this week-long conference, she is genius at ritual. Brilliant woman. I have so much respect and admiration for Kathy Jones. Go visit the Glastonbury Goddess Temple and attend that goddess conference, because it is fantastic.
Yeah, I just got the first announcement for this coming year, and it's one of those things that has continued over the years and grown and become something so dramatically bigger, better, more than it was before. You know, I think at first it was, you know, it's always important, but it was not very many people, and now it's quite grown, quite large, and it attracts world-class speakers like yourself, and opportunities for you to be able to go out and really get to know women from all over the world, because I know that all women from all over the world do come to that. So,
I also wanted to mention for the women who are local or maybe want to fly in for this. There is, I believe it's in September, I'll be speaking at the conference Goddess Spirit Rising. So check that out. Go online and check that out. Led by Anik Radiant Heart and several other women. It'll be a wonderful, wonderful gathering of women and priestesses.
So there will be a link from Goddess Temple to that?
I don't think we have a link just yet, but we are promoting that, since I'll be speaking on that. Yeah.
So your website is, in order to make sure that we don't go to the wrong one?
Our website is goddesstempleoc.org, and I'm going to fix my battery right here, so please carry on asking the questions.
Okay. That's all right. And she's having to plug in. So, Raven, how is the feedback still coming at you?
Oh, it's terrible.
I'm sorry.
Yeah,
luckily it's recording me and I'm not hearing it.
Yeah, it's fine when I talk to you. It's just when Ava's on.
Okay.
So, I don't know what it is, but sorry. I thought if it was me, but when I mute out, it's exactly the same. So
yeah, I have no idea.
It sounds like when somebody has their phone on and is on the microphone at the same time.
Okay, so if anybody's listening to this and you're hearing some feedback, we apologize. It's not in our control, apparently. So anyway, we have coming up on a Gathering of Priestesses. Next week we have Ingrid Ronlove, who's coming to us from Eugene, Oregon. And Ingrid has the Zara Foundation, which is doing some wonderful work in Egypt. She's going to be leading tours there as well, and I look forward to having her on. Linnea Weatherstone will be on the end of the month. I'm sorry, my brain has just went blank. I can't remember who's on the third week. Karen Tate is going to be on next month, and we have, if you are a woman who would like to be on here, I'm about to start booking April and May, so let me know. Send me an email at Gloria Taylor Brown SD, that's SD like San Diego, at gmail.com. If you're interested in being on, let me know what it is you do and give me links to your websites. And I want to thank Ava for being on tonight and being such a great guest. And
what a great pleasure. Thank you both for sharing your time with me. I've really had a great time talking to you both, and I really want to see you both in person soon.
Oh, yeah. Well, hopefully we'll get up to see you. And I will get the information on that event coming up in September and make sure everybody has the link to it. I'll also put a link to your goddesstempleoc.org. We want to keep it that way. Don't go to the other one.
Yeah.
You may find yourself opening a door you didn't plan on opening.
Right. We don't give massages here. That's not what we're doing here.
Yeah. And I also want to put in a plug for Catherine Ravenwood, who is the world's best tarot reader and is available. You can contact her at kravenwood@yahoo.com and or on her website at catherineravenwood.com. And she's, I say that absolutely. I've had some of the best authors and speakers of tarot in the world read for me, and Catherine is better. And it's not just prejudice, but I am prejudiced.
Gloria. Also, tomorrow night, Nikki Scully and I are doing a planetary healing call from Nikki's originating it from shamanicjourneys.com, planetaryhealing.com. We are doing a planetary healing call to work on healing the oceans tomorrow.
Oh yeah, that's going to be
a wonderful experience. We had a very beautiful instruction download into us on Saturday, and so we'll be sharing that with you tomorrow night at 6 o'clock Oregon time, and you can get that information from Nikki's website, shamanicjourneys.com.
Okay, and we lost Ava, so we will. We're going to be signing off here. We will say thank you, Ava, for being present, and we'll get you some emails, addresses for you to contact her. I will be back on next week, as I said, with Ingrid Runlove from Eugene. She's going to be telling us about the Zara Foundation. I hope you'll join us, and there's Ava back. Great. Wanted to say thank you.
I don't know what happened.
Oh, it's Mercury retrograde. I refuse to take responsibility for what Thoth is doing out there.
Thoth, you rascal.
Yeah, he's screwing with the internet. What can I say? So, Ava, did you have something that you would like to say before we go?
Oh, I didn't realize we were still on. Very good. I want to say a big thank you to the many dozens and dozens of women who have worked here over the years, have contributed to what we are. I certainly in no way did it alone. And I also want to thank even the women who weren't happy. You know, we've had our ups and downs. We've had, every circle I know of, every woman's circle I know of has had some difficulties at times with women getting along. And we've been no exception. We've had our struggles at times. And I've learned so much from those women. And for whomever I offended unwittingly, I ask forgiveness. And for all those I learned from, I am so grateful. And I just bless everybody who has contributed to the temple, and from the bottom of my heart say thank you, thank you, thank you.
Well, thank you for being the spearhead on this whole thing, and your dear friend Marcy. And thank you for listening to us tonight, whether you listen to us now or in the future. If you're a woman and you would like to join a Gathering of Priestesses, it is a group on Facebook. You do have to ask to join, and I will check out your profile, and then I will admit you. There's no cost, but it does give you information, and we have a lot of really wonderful people who are members. We do have an ongoing program, and we're going to be starting master classes this month, and let you know more about that soon. But for tonight, I'd like to say thank you and good night.